Today I'm honored of receiving Micha, actually known as Jiagual, a visionary artist based in Berlin who blends cold music and light to create mind-bending experiences. Inspired by ancient knowledge and his travels around the world, Micha's work transcends the ordinary, inviting us on journeys through the fabric of consciousness. I'm super hyped, as I know this will be an extraordinary talk. Let's dive in right into the mind of Micha, discovering more about his approach and getting inspired also to take creative action in our lives and projects. Hey, Micha, what's up, man?
Wow, yeah, I'm very honored. I'm very flattered for that.
Do you
awesome
like it?
introduction.
Yes.
Thanks, Bruno, for having me on your podcast.
Yo, thanks you for, yeah, well, I invite you and you say, yes, let's do it. And you were very open. So, and you were also, you trust me, which is for me super important. This trust you had. So the honor is mine. And also the honor is mine because we are drinking mate. I'm going to share in the screen right now.
Yes.
We are drinking mate at the same time. I love it.
That's perfect.
It's perfect.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited about this conversation. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
A lot of similar topics to talk about and to explore.
Yes, and it will be super interesting for the audience also. So before starting, I want to ask you about who you are, your story, your origin. Where did it all come from? This identity, this person you are right now.
Well, that's definitely a quite deep question to start with. Yeah, my story is very multifaceted, I would say. There's a lot of stuff that has been happening in my life and a lot of different paths I've been trying and things I've been working on. But I think if I were to summarize it, it was always about, being curious. I think that's been one of the main threads throughout my life, to be curious about, to discover life and what's about this crazy experience that we're having as a human being living on this planet, and where does it all come from, and why is it actually happening at all? So since like very early childhood, I can remember I was very fascinated by those kind of deeper questions about reality. And I think now reflecting from my adult perspective, I would say that's has always been one of the main drives to push me into the direction of self-actualization and just find out what's there to be found out.
Oh, super interesting, and I'm already like in the zone. Like you start talking about the curiosity, about the reality and the mystery, in one way, because this is a mystery. What are we doing? Like we are talking to each other. We found each other. I don't know why, just by resonance, and in this present moment we are talking through this kind of artifact here, which is an strange technology that allows you.
Exactly.
No, it's a mystery. So wow, I love it, and this seems to be like one of the beacons or the guiding lights in your life. How is this curiosity? How this curiosity brought you to being an artist, an entrepreneur, a creator?
To put it that way, I always had the feeling that there's always something more to discover to life than the things I've been doing at any single point of my life. So there was always something new to discover, new to be found out, and another layer to get into. So I think very, very early on, I've been kind of drawn to the, like I said, to the mysteries of life, and also to things like meditation and a kind of spiritual work. And maybe in this point I can also define a little bit what I mean by spiritual, because it's such a big conflated word, and a lot of people use it in different kind of ways, and it can be from doing some weird rituals and religious beliefs in some kind of spirits or ghosts or metaphysic beings or different conceptions of God and so on.
Yeah, what would mean spirituality for you? What is it for you?
But I would rather define it. The latest definition I came to really enjoy is just being awake to whatever is coming and unfolding in your life, and follow that kind of path, and just being in the moment, being free of all these kind of mind created sufferings and things that's going on, but just really being true to your own higher self, so to say, or just discover the higher self which is alive in all of us. And also related to the study of mind and the study of consciousness, which I would say is a quite common definitions from the Eastern mysticism, wisdom traditions like Buddhism and so on, which I came across and studied quite a bit in my life in these past years.
Okay, so spirituality is being awake to to the reality of the present moment, we could say, but also it's also the study of the mind and the study of how we make sense of this that is already happening.
The study of truth also, right? Like a truth that is deeper than all the kind of scientific discoveries which we all can make, which are also quite important, and things describe the physical reality we're living in, to make predictions and to make inventions and all that kind of stuff, which I was also quite fascinated with all my whole life. But it's going deeper than that. Even that's just one part of it. But there's something which is, like transcending this whole notion of the physical objective reality we are in.
Yes, there is a very cool concept I heard once that says something like, science is a useful story. Which is crazy because there is this in the modern era we are right now, this like this we think about science as the ultimate truth, but obviously it has its own limits because it's also a construction. It's a very useful construction, a very useful story, but it's still in the realm of the words, of the symbols, and this very limited space that cannot touch this we are talking about right now, no? Which is this mystery of what the fuck, no? What the fuck is this? We are here talking, what the fuck? Like trying to really get into that mystery. And when I talk to you and we are talking about this, it's automatical. I get into that space of wonder, man, and I truly enjoy this conversation because of that.
Yeah, I really like that view of it's a useful story. Exactly, that's what it is. Like everything we experience in our lives is eventually a story that we constructed, and some of those are useful, and some of them are less useful, and some of them maybe getting in our way. So I think it's always good to pay close attention to what is useful to us, to having a deep experience in life. And what is just a story because we learned that story and get it taught in school. Like, yeah.
I love it, and I want to ask you something because this touches me deeply. How are you? Because you describe in your website and everything as a visionary artist, I get from that you want to blend this wisdom or insight or whatever you want to call it into your art. So I'm wondering,
Mhm.
what's your strategy for that, or how can you approach to convey this kind of message, which is more related to spirituality, mysticism, being awake to the right here, right now, and being open to the mystery. But also, how do you manage to uh, put all this in a message, in a medium, in art? How do you do it?
That's indeed a quite fascinating question, which I'm still trying to uncover. So for me, my approach in art is just, or in creativity in general, is just to follow what I feel is alive in me right now. There's something that interests me, some kind of principle, maybe a kind of movement, a kind of feeling, a kind of idea. Sometimes it's also some internal vision. Sometimes it's also a inspiration I take from nature, from travels, or from even from psychedelic journeys and things like that. And whatever is there that feels, I just have the feeling that it wants to be expressed and it wants to be researched in a way. So I would say it's kind of a research and see what's uncovering, what's behind there, and just really dive into it um, and try to work with it. That's my approach to my creative journey. And the relation to spirituality, or to the message that wants to be conveyed, is an interesting one, because I have kind of the notion, which is hard to describe, but that's kind of my own notion, because most of the stuff I'm creating, I create for myself, and I like to watch it for a long time. And I have the feeling that there is some kind of language involved, or some kind of truth that is kind of transcending or lying beyond the conceptual ideas about the world. So it's similar to music. Like, what, I think you're also a musician, so you know that if you're listening to music, it's a different frequency, it's a different medium that triggers different emotions in a different way in us, and opens a different kind of space that lies outside of thoughts about conceptions of the world. It's like, as a kind of direct experience of sound, and what's between the sound and the melodies and the rhythms and all of that. You can just say it's kind of a audio frequency, but in our experience, it's something very rich and something very full, and it's giving us some kind of entry point into our direct experiencing. And I think for visual art, it can be something like that as well, and that's my idea behind it.
Okay, so I get like, for you is obviously a process that is always evolving. You are like researching in real time how do you relate to your craft, and obviously what the mediums you use and everything. But it seems that you are particularly interested in making of your art an entry point to this way of perceiving reality, which is non-conceptual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds great, man. I really love it, and I think that's the reason I like you, because I think I read something. Yeah, I read about something like that in your Threads account, because we what to the audience I will tell this, we know each other because of the social media app called Threads, which is like a Twitter, but it's from Meta, from Facebook, Instagram. We knew each other in this platform, and I saw what he was sharing in that platform, and I got automatically hooked, because oh yeah, man, I know what he's talking about, and I resonated. And also in my craft, I have this curiosity about how to make of what I'm doing an entry point to this ultimate reality, or this ultimate truth, which is beyond words, beyond any possible explanation. but making your craft and your purpose around that, I think that's something super courageous, Misha. I think it's super courageous, and I recognize you on that, man.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. And I can only give it back. I was also quite astonished by your introduction on Threads, what I saw, and the kind of topics you were talking about, and the kind of bio you were posting. I think at some point I thought, wow, there's a lot of similar points, similar interests, and I think we both kind of saw that immediately, that there's
Yes,
a contact.
we are talking about curiosity. We are talking about we are curious people, and right now I'm feeling super curious about something, because one thing is to say that, yeah, I want to create art that it's an entry point to ultimate reality. One thing is to say that, but much more different is to actually do it, and to actually create a website, create a blog, start moving, and create a brand around it. And there is a lot of energy I see you are putting in your project right now. And I'm wondering, what drove you to fully commit to your vision, to your purpose? What happened?
That's indeed an excellent question, because I think there's always been a little bit of an ongoing fight in me between going a rather conventional path and choosing the unconventional path of giving myself up to the unknown and not knowing where this is going to lead me to, but trusting in my own abilities, trusting in my own skills, and trusting that the future will unfold in the way that is how it is going to be. And it's, I wouldn't say meant to be, because I don't believe that there's like something like a bigger, higher purpose, but that's how it feels in the moment. And for me, it was always interesting to observe that every time I would pull away to do something different, I always got the feeling that I'm not aligned. I don't really feel the kind of passion I have for just creating visual art and the stuff I'm doing for the most time at this moment. And that always brought me back to doing what I'm doing. And I've had many points where I tried to move away and thought like, well, maybe I have to do something that brings me more money, or create a big app, or start a startup, or doing something great for the environment, which also I think a lot of people are passionate about, and which I think is also important to do. But I always came back to feeling that I need to create. I need to create this kind of things I'm doing right now. And funnily, if I look back, it's always been a thread in my life. So I've been, since 15, 20 years probably, I've been quite interested into making this kind of visual art, which I'm doing, which is a kind of, to explain to your audience maybe, kind of visualizations that are synchronized to music and have kind of trippy kind of aesthetics, and but it's all something that is moving, or something that is unfolding at the moment. I'm not so much working with like still images, it's all animated, and I think that's the main point. That's all code driven. I mostly use computer code because that's my background to create my animations.
Okay, recording again. Recording in progress.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, it was good because you just finished the sentence, and then you got cut. Yeah. Yes. Can I ask you a question?
I think I wanted to ask me a question.
No, because you were telling me about. I asked you about what made you commit to your path, and it seems that this is something that was always with you. This yearning for creation and this desire inside you, and then somehow you start creating these visualizations and everything. But I'm curious about what kind of what is this. You mentioned for a moment about like an inner fight or an inner struggle or something that you were.
Mhm.
Yeah, what's the how can you define or explain to someone that doesn't know you what was this struggle about?
Mm,
Can I say it a different way?
yeah,
Maybe what
yeah,
were you
say it in a
what
different
were
way.
you afraid of, if there was any fear?
The standard thing, I think, I was afraid of. Many of us are afraid of that. It might not be right, the right way, and that there could
Mm,
be something better, a different purpose for us. And I think that that's one of the struggle. And the other struggle is that it might not work out, or it might not be like my life would fall apart if I go that way. Like that, I may end up homeless. I might not have money to buy food and all that stuff. You know, this kind of very basic existential risk, which I
mm,
never had so much on on the the surface level, because I always had never had this problem.
mm,
Used to work as a software engineer before, so I always had enough
mhm,
money to pay my living and to do all the things I want to do. So that was never like a true existential risk, but I knew that it's going to be below the surface, because that's how our society constructs our lives, that we
mm,
have to be successful in a way, and if that doesn't work out, then you're going to be nobody.
mm,
Um, but I think it's exactly that way to open up to this unknown, to becoming this kind of nobody, to throw away all the kind of labels. I'm this, I'm that, to just accept and try to uncover what where life can bring you if you don't have these kind of stories about yourself.
okay, great, great. And what would you see? What would you say was like a key insight, or what was the most important thing that helped you to overcome to get through all these challenges of fear? How do you do it? Because people on the other side like wondering, like they probably are in that same spot, like they have a vision, they or maybe they are
Yeah,
still trying to figure out, and they don't know how to get to that place. They are afraid. They don't know how to get there, and they are looking for answers in some
yeah.
ways. So
That's a very interesting question. I'm trying to get to the point of that. Um, for me, the start was to make the decision to actually quit my day job,
okay.
which was a very, very long process for me. Because even though I had a great job, I was very happy, at least until that point. It was not too much. It was challenging in a good way. It was kind of a startup atmosphere. That it was nice people. It was well paid. It had all the benefits you could actually dream of. It was partly remote, so I had all the freedom, everything. But I still felt um, that there's more to life than this. And I felt if I wouldn't choose to see where that is going to, I would not be happy in the future. So there was this big pressure inside of me that I wanted to change. Not
Mm,
because I didn't like it, it was perfect, but I wanted to find out more. And I made the decision to quit it actually. And I quit actually 1 year or just before the Corona started. And then the whole COVID thing started, and I realized all the things, like I wanted to travel, and all the things I planned doing I couldn't do.
Yes.
And I retracted my quitting how do you say it?
Yeah.
Thing. So I said, hey, I decided I'm gonna stay here at least for a little bit more, because there's nothing else to do, and that was fine, because at that point also the company was shifting to another company, and there was new challenges also for me, so it was fine to kind of take that
good
new
decision.
experience and the money. And then after 1 year, I realized, okay, now the COVID situation is getting a little bit more relaxed now. You can travel again. And I felt like I'm in the same point again. I already went through this process, and I knew this is the thing I had to do. And so I called my company and said, hey, listen, I'm going to leave now eventually for all. You saw that's probably gonna come up, and and that's when I just left. And for the first year, I was probably just doing all the things I can possibly do to experience, go to travel, go to live uproad, live in Mexico for a few months, go on the jungle, take ayahuasca, to go DJing somewhere on the beach, and learn surfing and learn new skills, just experience life and just see where it brings you. So for me, that was, first of all, a big luxury that I could do that, because I saved up some money. And secondly, just decondition myself that I have to be in a productive society and have to do something that is, paying taxes and bring some value to society. And that for me was actually the biggest part to overcome this, that I don't have to be anything. I can just try whatever thing I want to do, and that's okay. And that's what I did. And that's been 3 years ago. So, and I'm still here, I'm still alive. I am still not living on the street. And things are working out pretty well. So
it's crazy. The other side is like it wasn't that bad. It seems obviously you had your challenge,
exactly.
But you managed to, in example, when the corona happened, you could go back to your company, and they understood you. Well, you could continue working, and it seems that things are not black and white, Like our mind likes to create.
Our minds like to create the story that if I stop this story, which I believed in myself for this moment, then I'm gonna die. So we're afraid of metaphysical death in some point, right? We're afraid that the idea we believed in ourselves, that we are this and that, is going to end. And I think to some point we are more afraid of that than kind of the struggles we are going through, let's say.
Also, I find interesting that after this whole season in your life in which you were working for a company and doing like the roadmap, the normal roadmap that society expects from us, like to be productive and everything, you had like a season of exploring. Am I right? And I saw a lot of different cases of people that also have this season of exploring. It's a pattern, I think. It happened to me also. Like I needed to get out of the routine for a moment to be able to see more clearly where I was, because when you are in the routine and you are this gear in the machine, let's say, it's difficult to have a self-actualized picture of where you at and what you could possibly do. And it seems that traveling was your way of expanding a little bit more, of getting out of that box. And I see it like this expansion was useful for you to also commit more to your vision, maybe. Am I right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something very important you're pointing to. Is this kind of exploration and just follow whatever comes up in the moment. If you feel like I'm doing that, I feel like traveling or feel like learning something new. I was drawn to the ocean, for example, so I went to live in Portugal for some time and learned surfing. And just really listen to yourself. What is true to you in the moment, and follow that, and don't have any excuses for not doing it, but just accept the freedom, which is very hard because we are very kind of boxed in by this kind of society we grew up in, that we have to have a plan. I always thought I have to have a plan. Once I quit my job, I was like, I have to have a plan for, okay, I'm doing traveling now for 3 months, and then I'm going to build this company, and then I'm going to work on this creative project, and I'm going to work on that creative project, and it's going to lead to there. And I realized that that's the way, which is not working like that. You can't have a plan. You can have a vision, you can have goals, which I think is very important. I think you're also talking a lot about a vision, which is more something like a holistic thing, like something that
vision.
But
I think of the vision. I think when I talk about vision, I think it's good to stay we on the same page with that word, because maybe the people listening to me or to you, they have a different meaning for the word vision. What I mean when I talk about vision is like an ultimate picture of what you actually desire for your life. That will be, it's like, it's holistic because it's about your whole life. It's not your goal in one area, but it's what would you like to, if you could have it in any way you want, how would it look? So it's an exercise of opening up to this childlike creativity and curiosity. Okay, you can do it. You can have whatever you want. Okay, what do you like? Because when I had that question the first time, it was like I couldn't answer that question. It was I can tell you whatever I like. Yes, whatever you want. A coach asked me, "What would you like to happen?" Yeah. He asked me, "What would you like to happen? What would you like to see?" And I was in I was in a depression, like in existential anxiety, angst. I was getting out of like an awakening kind of experience, and I wasn't able to desire anything. I was full monk mode for some time, and I got completely detached from that part of me. But at the same time, I was miserable. I was very unhappy and stuck in not useful stories, we could say. And the vision, asking myself, okay, what do I want? It was super helpful to balance a little bit this in my approach. So that's what when I talk about creative vision, is about, okay, let's be creative. What do you want to achieve? What do you like? And you have that, you have an idea of this, a big picture of this, and I like it because yes, I think.
I think that's a very good point, because we are never taught to actually open ourselves up to this kind of bigger question: what do we actually want? Because there's always a path for us laid out in conventional society. You do your job, you do this and that, you go to college, and
also in spirituality is highly disencouraged. It's like, if you are a spiritual person, no, you don't have to desire. It's like desire, attachment, and suffering, and everything. Which I think, yes, of course, attachment, it can bring a lot of suffering, but there is a balance. That's what I found, at least in my own experience. There is a balance, or the middle way in related to how do you approach this whole desire thing, or Yes, well, I got a little. I'm starting like ranting around this.
I see that's a topic you're quite passionate about. So
Okay.
yeah, I can relate. I can relate to that. So yeah,
Ah,
coming back to the vision,
hmm,
I think it's important to have. Well, it's a good practice, like you said, to open up to this imagination, to see what do I actually want out of life? What are the possible things? It doesn't have to mean like these are all the things I'm going to do. This don't have to be all goals I'm going to actually actualize, but just to write down what you actually want. What are the possible things you are drawn to? And then the next step, like you said, is the exploration. You just open up and to your own moment, what's unfolding in your moment, and see what are you drawn to, and what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel interested, what makes you feel curious, what makes you feel passionate, and just follow this. Like they said in the Matrix, it's become my mantra. Just follow the white rabbit. It's
yeah.
literally like that. It's like, yeah, the white rabbit is your own curiosity, and you just follow it deeper and deeper and see where it's going to lead. And I think that's for me is the most perfect way of living your life.
Oh, I love it, man. I want to ask you, Misha, what are you doing right now? What are your projects? What is right now? Where is your curiosity going right now?
My curiosity is going to planning bigger installations. I think I don't know why. Since a bit more than a year, I have this idea to create big art installations. Kind of Burning Man size. And
Oh,
I don't know why I have this idea, and I'm not sure if that's something that has to be actualized. But
okay.
it's been like an idea in my mind, and I have these kind of visualizations I've been creating, and I was in a little bit of a phase. I'm still am in a little bit of a phase of like feeling stuck because I don't know in which direction I have to move to actually make that more of a reality. Because mostly I'm working digital on my computer, so I'm trying to ask myself these questions of what are the next steps to do, what kind of skills do I need to learn, what kind of people I need to actualize this, and yeah, what are the things? And it's a very interesting process because I'm again at the point where I don't know. I know what I can do, but there's a lot of things I still don't know, and it's about finding it out. And right now, for me, the reasonable next steps I'm working on is creating a mock-up, creating a actual digital representation of the kind of installation I possibly want to build, and see how it actually looks like, to get a better idea and also get a tool of communication I can show to people and see, hey, this is something, and then I could maybe inspire people who are a bit more of a physical builder types who can help me to actually build this in physical reality.
Great.
So that's what I'm working on right now.
Nice. So if anyone is listening to this that is also into creating installations and maybe has some insight around how to make this kind of stuff a reality, well, you can contact Jiagual, Misha, or Michael, or all the different ways I can tell your name.
Micha
And
is fine.
Misha is fine. Okay. And because I also saw you have a newsletter and a website and you're writing. What about that?
Yeah, for me, it's good that you asked, because one of my core philosophy for life is to be multidisciplinary. So I think it's not about one specific thing you do. I like to think a lot of things, and I like to also see how they all relate to each other. So one of the topics I'm interested in is definitely technology, is spirituality, is meditation, and is artistic work, creative work. I also was quite into music production and photography for some time, um, and now I started to write like about 6 months ago, because just for me as a practice, and also having a little bit more of contact with other people and with reality. So I started to write on Threads. That's the place where we met, which was still quite interesting experience, because it's a place where you can actually try out your ideas and see what kind of feedback is coming back, and elaborate on your ideas and elaborate on your thinking in a more collaborative way, with a lot of different kind of perspectives and people and opinions. And for me, that's something I felt I need at this point in my journey, to have this kind of contact and this kind of feedback loop for my ideas, and bring ideas about my spiritual philosophies or a way of living, and my creative and artistic work, and also share all the insights I've been having from my journey, because I've been experiencing quite a lot of different things in life, and there's a lot of ideas coming up, and just really trying to put them in words and trying to share them with people, and see that people are actually quite interested in those ideas and those ways of living themselves, and can relate to that. I think it's a wonderful journey.
So I got hooked because you said about being multidisciplinary, and also I well, I like that approach.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder, what's your particular way of pursuing different disciplines at the same time? Because there is, pursuing mastery is a whole thing. I mean, it's a whole challenge, and probably you develop your own way of doing that. And how do you approach that? Your practice, you honing your craft in different areas.
Yeah, that's a beautiful question, and I thought a lot about this in the past, because that's something I struggle with, and also I think a lot of creative people are struggling with, especially if you're interested into a lot of different things. And I think that there's nothing wrong about that. I think it's quite beautiful to follow different things and try out different creative pursuits and other pursuits in life. And there's something very important. But you also have to keep track that, at least in this kind of human experience we are having, our time is quite limited. So we cannot do everything. So we have to kind of limit ourselves. And there's also some beauty into limiting ourselves in some kinds. And for me, what I found out a few years ago is that there's kind of three main topics, especially in the creative area I'm interested in. And I realized I cannot do them all at the same time. I tried, and I failed, because I was not really going one direction very far. I just did a little bit here and did a little bit there, and get overwhelmed because I realized I cannot do everything. And you get stuck in this kind of in between zone. And then I realized, well, there's these three things which I'm interested in, which for me is music, visual art, and I think the third one was photography. And I realized if I do one of those things, or maybe two, but usually just one at one time, then I'm happy. And I don't have to do them at the same time, but there can be different periods. And maybe at some point they will merge also. But I realized that it's okay if I just do one of those things at one time, and I do it for maybe a few months or years. And at some point, when I realized that another thing is getting into my attention and wants to be pursued, then I will follow that. But yeah, for right now, I put music aside, for example. I still DJ a little bit, but I don't produce actively. I miss it a lot, but I realized that, yeah, right now I'm working on this kind of visual stuff, and I want to make progress. I want to get to a new level.
Great. Yeah. And how do you approach? Because it's great, because I see that you found out like a balance. Okay, yeah, I love all these different disciplines and arts, but yeah, it seems that I can only focus on one or two at the same time. Maybe more is detrimental or is not good. But I'm wondering about when you decide, okay, I want to get good at this. I want to get good. How do you approach it? How is your philosophy of practice or getting good at something?
I think the main part I found, and it ties also to something we talked about earlier, is it needs to be something you're really passionate about. It needs to be something that really gets you out of bed every morning, because you really feel this creative drive that that's something I want to do. And for me, this is definitely visual art. It used to be music also in a similar way, but right now it's that. And so I cannot do otherwise. It's just I just have to. It's I'm feeling this just very strongly, and I think that's something very important to realize, that you kind of need to have that kind of underlying drive. Otherwise, you won't do anything. If you're doing something and you wonder you're not getting better, then it's probably the wrong thing. Then you're not following your actual passion. And you should go back to the exploring part.
Okay.
But for me, it's that. So for me, it's not very hard to commit myself to doing this at the moment, because it feels right. I can do this for 8-10 hours a day, and I feel very, very happy.
Okay. Good.
That's one thing. And the other thing is, of course, you need to have some kind of structure. You need to build some kind of routine. For me, especially if I am in the kind of productive mood, which I've been for the past month, it was very important for me to have kind of a fixed routine of doing similar things at similar times during the day. So I don't have to worry. My mind doesn't have to worry about all the stuff that has to be done, because I knew the routine, the process, trust the process taking care of that. Of getting enough sleep, getting enough food, getting people, having social contacts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I have the time in between where I can just float freely and just work on whatever I'm working on.
Okay. I love it, because it's not only that you are multidisciplinary, but of course you are embracing a process. You're embracing a structure. I mean, because I know a lot of artists that they would love to do a lot of different things, but maybe they are not embracing this requirement of having some kind of structure or some kind of awareness about how are you pursuing the stuff. And I see you subscribe to this, to having some kind of course, the drive is super important. The drive is the main motivation that keeps you up, that gets you up every morning. But yes, being like also being able to channel all that energy in a productive way.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's also something beautiful to have this kind of structure in which you can float freely and be creative.
Yeah, like a structure to help you be free. No, it's like for some people it's a contradiction, but in fact,
it sounds like a contradiction, but in fact, like we've both found out, it's something that goes very, very hand in hand together. And I think one other thing I would like to add here is, I think also I got this from one of your podcasts where you mentioned, like, think long term, think about the long term vision, and it doesn't have to be something that has to be actualized, next month or within this year. But like having this long term vision, it's good to have to set this kind of idea in your mind, prime your mind to that kind of idea, that kind of goal, and then forget about it. just do everything what comes up in the moment. And I think that for me is also a quite profound realization that I have my list of tasks, of topics I want to research, of things I want to work on, of projects I want to do. And just every day I just pick one of them and just work on them. And if it feels right working on them, then just work for them for 1, 2, 3 days, whatever. And then I work on the next, and I don't stress myself that it has to lead to somewhere. I just know if I'm working on it continuously, having my mind primed to this bigger vision, I'm going to be fine. And that's how I've been working for quite some time now. And a lot of things have been realized. And I don't know how, but it just happened. I don't even feel that it was me like realizing them. It was just the process, the bigger process was taking care of that.
Oh yeah, trusting the process. I'm super happy about this conversation because we touched a lot of very cool concepts, I think. Curiosity, trusting the process, the vision, exploring, figuring out what truly resonates with you. And just to wrap up this conversation, because we need to wrap up. we can continue talking.
Quite some time. We can continue forever.
Yeah. How can people relate to you or contact you or know more about your craft and follow you? What are the main channels, just so people can follow you?
Definitely. I have an Instagram account. It's Jiagual.art, JIAGUAL.art. That's my Instagram page where people can contact me. I post my creative projects there almost weekly, or even more than that. And since the beginning of the year, I also have a portfolio website, which is also jiagual.com, where you can find a little bit more information about my work, some more longer, bigger screen videos of my projects, and also my visualizations and things like that. And last but not least, I also have my blog on this website. So if you go to the navigation or /blog, jiagual.com/blog, you will find my blog where I'm writing or planning to write more. It's just starting right now, but I'm having this newsletter, which I plan to write at least twice a month or so, potentially even once a week. So you can sign up for my newsletter to get up to speed with ideas about my creative insights, about my spiritual insights, about how they relate together. And
amazing. So if you're listening to this and you resonate with any of the themes we talk on this podcast episode, or you are also into creating some kind of installations with audio visuals, creative coding and everything, reach Jiagual, Micha. He's also into this. He's also trying to create big installations. So maybe who knows, maybe someone listening to this is also doing the same, and you can
definitely hit me up. I'm always happy to connect with like-minded crazy people.
Let's grow together. Let's create life-changing art and beautiful stuff.
Yes.
Yes. Micha, thank you, man. It was an excellent conversation. Great conversation.
Perfect. Yeah, I really enjoyed that, Bruno. I'm very happy to be there.
Yes.
Thanks again for having me, and hope we gotta continue that at some point.
Yeah, why not? Yes.
It's gonna be a follow-up.
Okay, so this is the ending of this episode. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.